Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Card Shop. I'm the big dog, and back from a one-episode hiatus is the gloriously bearded Magic Mike Fruitman. Mike, I know we're on the throes of a post-pandemic renaissance. Hopefully, this turns out to be like the Roaring '20s or the 1900s when we had the heretofore noted as Spanish flu issues in the world. And I think, you're back to your security job. I'll be able to go back to Nuggets games here very shortly. And as you see from my background, it's almost opening day. So baseball season is upon us. And I think everyone will enjoy having the opportunity to get out to sporting events. I was happening to watch March Madness post cap last night with Ernie, Charles, and Kenny and those guys. And it was funny. One of the things Charles mentioned was, when the pandemic first started and there were no sports, it was a tough deal. And he goes, during the course of this pandemic, we've realized, sports aren't the most important thing in the world, but man, they're important. And they're important to keep your sanity. They're important to keep what's going right. It's important to have some kind of normalcy in your life. And I think those were great points that, a little wisdom from Charles Barkley is a rare and welcome thing. So I think from your perspective, your card shop went from, oh my God, what's going to happen? That was one of our first podcasts was, oh my God, what's going to happen? To where now it's like, oh my God, how's the water ever going to get bailed out of this thing? Because we're flooded with demand like we've never seen. So, let's start out. Just give us a little view of what, as of today, what's hot in the shop and what can't you keep in stock besides everything?
Well, yeah, the answer is everything. It used to be everything but hockey, and now it's everything including hockey. Literally everything. The second it lands, I know it. So we had Topps Heritage Baseball hit the other day, and we had folks in the shop who were either waiting for it or, hey, it's like seven. What's in the box? What do you got there? What's in the box? And said a little bit more lightly, perhaps than Kevin did. Anyway, but like right now, the interest is literally in everything. We lucked out last year that we had baseball at all, meaning the 2021 releases have rookies. So we've got guys in there that people are collecting.
Right.
Even though the Rockies didn't have a stellar season, to me, all that really mattered last year was the fact that they played baseball from the enjoyment perspective. But beyond that, so we could actually have rookies in the 21-20. If we had no rookies this year, there's no reason to buy the product. I mean, unless we're putting a Trout autograph in every box. So everything's literally flying right now. You've got Series 2 Upper Deck Hockey has come out of the gate. There's a player on the Wild who is just tearing it up. He's a pro, came from overseas, so he's an established player, but his stats are unbelievable, and he's making everybody forget about Lafreniere, who's in Series 1. However, the Series 1 prices are going through the roof anyway, so let's hear it for that. Or let's not hear it from that. I don't love it when prices go up. We had going back to Heritage right now. It's this Topps Heritage typifies one of the problems and realities that we're dealing with the industry right now. So Topps Heritage is one of those set builder collector sets. It goes back to 2001 when it first came out, and every year they get a year newer. They're up to 1972 with their design. I can't wait till they get to the 90s. God, I wonder if I'll still own a card shop then. But people do, because those years aren't really iconic. I mean, the 72 top set, the 71 set, those are so iconic. Anyway, so the product comes out, and that's a product that we usually are able to offer first day at $89, $94, maybe $99.
Right.
So I don't do pre-sales. I don't pay attention to what products are really going for. And I looked on Monday because Wednesday it's going to be here. I got to know, what gate's that plane going to land at. So I looked online, and the online retailers are charging $150 a box. So I'm thinking that's nuts. That's crazy. And I go to DealerNet, and the buys are $120 a box. So imagine I was about to use the word dilemma, but what's it like to be a card shop owner? So I want to be fair to my collectors. I made an investment in this product. I've earned this product by virtue of allocations, by virtue of making the cut and being direct with Topps. So if you've got a product that's worth $120 a box, that's a literally cash price minus shipping, credit card fees, easiest thing in the world to get. And I went to public at 104 a box. and $99 if you're in our discount card club. And you would not believe the amount of flack I got. And I wanted to pull out my phone and say, hey guys, I can get $120 a box right now. The guys online want to sell it to you for $150 a box. I'm selling it to you for $99 a box. And I didn't expect warm, deep hugs. Not that we want those these days, but I was thinking, man, I mean, how tough? Hey, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to sell this box that I can get for $120 for $89? I mean, and then obviously I'm going to eventually sell out of this. So if I'm going to sell out at 89 and rebuy it at 120, or one, the sell offers I believe are 135. So there's that balance if I want to be the dude. But in the same regard, like if I'm selling it for 89, how am I supposed to restock it for 120? How am I supposed to pay 130 to bring it back in? So anyway, Heritage is selling very well. I'm getting yelled at a lot for doing a nice thing. At least that's kind of my sentiment about it. And we're selling other products
Mike,
as well.
just to be clear, if it was $5, somebody would ask you why it's not $4. Trust me, you know how this works.
Fair enough. As a card shop owner, I want to build goodwill with my collectors. I use the Costco analogy. And I go to Costco, and when I see something on the shelf, I don't go to Amazon or look at my phone, because over the years, Costco has gotten my trust. If they're selling me 30 big pens at
100%,
$9.99, that's the right price. So I want to enjoy that with my collectors, both at single cards, both in packs, boxes, supplies. I want to enjoy that same type of relationship. And I understand the new shopper. It's I'm going to pull out my phone and, well, this guy has it for $72. Will you match 72? And it's when you own a card shop, you're a pinata. Pinata these days. Everybody loves to just hit you. But I get that. For longtime collectors, I think that's the folks who see it more because they're used to things costing less. We're also seeing price increases from the manufacturers. I don't know the exact number, but it's my belief that Bowman is now about $100, $80 to $100 more per box direct. Panini Prism Basketball is now 50% more direct, or excuse me, it may even be a higher percentage. And I understand that that's absorbed with what it sells for, but there are real cost changes. You know, I'm not buying things for 18 cents and selling them for $34. Although that might be what we have to do with top loaders. So.
You know, we're gonna have to get somebody from like a sports agent or someone similar on the podcast, because it's my firm belief that, you know, a few years ago, athletes didn't necessarily pay that much attention to cards in general. And so my guess is that over time, those contracts they sign with Panini, Upper Deck, et cetera, to sign their name to things have gone up in cost a lot because they've become aware of how big a demand there is, and they're realizing the value of that little signature. And my guess is part of what we're seeing from Panini and others is, hey, we got to go procure this stuff for you guys. Otherwise, we're back to the early 90s, mass producing a bunch of stuff with no uniquity to it, and you're not gonna like it very much. So my guess is there's that. I mean, if as someone who's currently trying to build a house, and as someone who has lots of friends in the industries, there are no materials right now that are inexpensive. My guess is all the guys print all the stuff in Texas. I'm guessing that's a nice little snowstorm they had, jacked up their supply chains for a while. And I'm guessing that prices are going to be high. Then you got the fact that Panini's out there doing their own initial offerings and Dutch auctions, and they're getting a much better read on the price of the product, and they're wanting their piece versus giving it all to distributors. So it feels like, you know, the prices are going up because demand is out of its mind. That's first and foremost. I think costs are going up as well, which that's going to exaggerate that price. And then you got the fact that the manufacturers are realizing, shit, we should make more money off this than we are. Everyone else is. Why shouldn't we? So that's a tough deal for a card shop owner, because you guys, you know, we did this like a year ago. I want you to go back and talk about, you know, how you go about the thought process of pricing your products, because obviously you have what you get directly, and I'm not going to put you in the spot and say, hey, what's Upper Deck or Topps charging you for the product you get direct, but you have to also look at the secondary and the re-ups you have to do. So talk me through the mindset and the thought process you go to list cards and get them out there.
The answer is be as fair as possible. The first thing I do is I'll look at the big three online and I'll see what their pricing is. And on every new product, I'm going to be more competitive than they are. I guess I want to come out of the gate, and again, Costco analogy. I don't want
So,
people to
folks,
have concerns.
the big three are David Adams, Steel City, and Blowout. Just for everybody to
Right.
know, that's the big three in the card industry. They are the big volume guys. Everybody who's savvy in the industry, when you go into a card shop and a guy has a box of wax there, the first thing you do is look at Blowout, David Adams, and Steel City. And if they have it available, you see what price they're offering. Most card shop owners will have a conversation with you if you're around that product range.
Absolutely. And so we don't actually price our boxes anymore. We don't have price
Right.
tags on,
Right.
unless it's restocks, which is we can get into restocks for quite a while as well. Um, so I could spend an hour every day going into my store an hour early and pricing my boxes based upon what my restock price is going to be. However, that's not even accurate. Every time you get an email list with pricing on it
Yeah.
from a distributor, they literally say price is subject to change. And it's if you don't call in 20 minutes, if there's a run on a product, they're going to change that price on that release. So literally, you can get that release. I happen to be in the mountain zone. So if I've got somebody who's up crazy early and they send that list out, if I get it an hour or two later, my first question is this price the same? And the price just came out an hour ago. So we're seeing massive changes like that. When I'm restocking, the first thing I'm doing is I pull out my list. And even though I've got great allocations, and even though I've got great relationships with distributors, I've got 4 guys I'm basically buying every new release from. I still have to maintain my restocks because
Yeah.
my initial allocations are based upon not what I order, because everybody's going to order as much Bowman as they get. My restocks are based upon my rebuys. So one of the strategies that I employ and other shops employ is we'll get a list and we'll basically sell stuff at cost. We will break even on product with the understanding that hopefully, and there's no chart to suggest this, it's like the cut in golf. You don't know what the cut's going to be 72, 73, 74. It's based upon where all the players stack up. So you can order more, but you don't know where the finish line is. You don't know
Right.
where the cutoff is to get to the next level. So it's I think of it this way. It's like going to work for the government and they say, hey, look, if you work a bunch of years, we're going to give you so much in pension, or we're going to give you a pension. Well, how many years do I have to work to get what percentage? Well, we can't tell you how many years, and we can't tell you what the percentage is.
Right.
But if you work for us a while, we're going to pay you later. And that's basically what it's like to be at a card shop. And I'm not playing the pity me game. I'm just trying to show you how the hot
Right.
dogs are made.
Yeah.
That's what it's like to own a shop right now. And I want to rebuy as much as I can and literally break even on so much of it so that I can take care of my collectors and get a good allocation of Bowman or the next release, whatever the
Right.
next flavor du jour is.
Right. Yeah. And so you're basically, a lot of what you're doing is you're playing forward the churn for access. And that what as speaking for somebody who's on the other side of it, it's always, if you go to Target, you have no idea what Target's paying whoever in the hell's making that Murano or Merino t-shirt that you just bought. You just know you paid $5 for it. And you probably don't want to know how much they paid because you'd get mad and throw things around. And guess what? It doesn't matter because you can't get it anywhere else for a price
Right.
other than $5. So don't sweat it. So what I encourage people to do if they're in a shop, bookmark Blowout, bookmark David Adams, bookmark Steel City. And if you're that pissed at the price the card shop owner is putting it out there for relative to those guys, then just click buy and have it sent to you and stop with the haranguing. You guys are in this business to make money as well as try to satisfy your customers. It takes both because, you could really satisfy your customers, just give all your stuff away, Mike, and I'm pretty sure you'd be closed on Tuesday. So at some point there has to be a profit motive for somebody because that's how this world works.
You're spot on. Obviously, I've got bills, insurance, rent, blah blah blah.
Sure.
One of the biggest reasons I own a shop is so I don't have to get a real job. So no, we all used to joke that we work 80 hours a week so I don't have to work 40.
Right.
My day yesterday, I got to my store at 9:30 and I left my store. I took a dinner break. But okay, so I got there at 9:30. We opened the doors, and at 10:01, it's like the Mervin's open thing.
Yep.
And it's awesome. It's everything I dream for. I want people in my store all the time. I want to engage my collectors. I want to have those moments. That's why you open a shop. You don't open a shop so you can. I mean, this isn't Clerks. I actually like my collectors. So I closed my store at 6. It's from 6 to 7. We had a kid's birthday party in there. We were supposed to do this literally a year ago, pre-COVID. COVID happened, and then we were supposed to do it recently. Blizzard.
Sure.
Anyway, so from 6 to 7, I had an awesome group of young collectors in the shop, and I'm walking over, and I didn't take any pictures because it's somebody else's kids, but I've got like 9 kids, and they're all thumbing through my singles boxes that are organized by team. They're all priced. Everything's from the top loader. All top loaders still exist, and they're all just having a blast. And some of the kids are literally pulling out their phones. These are 9 and 10-year-olds. They're cranking out their phones, and I can tell they're like, they're going to eBay to look at what cards they're going for. And I'm like, this is what our next generation does. Then I went live at 7:30. We did a 2.5-hour singles night feed. So that put us at 10. Fortunately, Maggiano's in Denver is open up till 11. So that's great. And so we ran over to Maggiano's, had a dinner over there. I went back to the store so I can bag up all the singles because I couldn't bag them up before Maggiano's. And so I left the store last night around 2. So that was my day. I essentially worked from 9 to 2. I'm counting my 2-hour dinner break as lunch and dinner because I think I literally got done yesterday, and my wife asked me if I ate lunch, and I had to remember, wait,
Yes.
what is this concept of lunch? And she had
Yeah.
brought me food, and I said, okay, yes, I did get to eat that. Yes, we did a drawing yesterday at 5 o'clock, our monthly pack
Yeah.
draw, and we have to do this thing outside. It used to be something we would do inside, and it get a little squishy.
Yeah.
We had 4 months worth of packs on the line, which is kind of sexy. It's 1 pack of every release. And I'm like, that's it. Since we restarted doing this, we go outside. So on Tuesday, one of my important things to do is to go online on my phone and say, okay, what's the 10-day chart look
Yeah.
like for Denver? So I can see, am I going to be
So you can be wrong because you know how Denver is over 10 days. You'll never get it right.
which is part of the reason why I wait till Tuesday. So hopefully those in power have some good reporting. We had about 80 people outside the store, and I'm literally standing in the street as you drive through. You got 80 people there. I pulled a ticket, nobody won, but I mean, and that's just what we do right now. I talked to more card shop owners, and I've got my immediate close circle, and I've got my extended circle, thanks to the Facebook page I'm involved with for shop owners. And here's exactly how every card call goes with every card shop owner. Hey, how you doing? Oh my God, it's incredible. Things are great. How are you doing? I am so tired. And
Yeah.
and we expand upon each of those. And being a shop owner right now, it's a very interesting time. I'm not gonna play the pity me, why me card. This is, again, I could be in the store or I could be on the street with a sign saying sports cards here, flipping my sign around so people realize that there's a card shop. And it's completely the opposite right now. But owning a card shop right now, it has never been more exhausting, more tiring. And that's if you're striking. If you're being complacent, if you're not taking care of your collectors, you're not doing singles nights, you're not doing breaks, personal box breaks, case breaks, you can lock the door at 6 and that's fine. The night before my Friday night, I cranked on. I happen to love Foo Fighters. So and the great thing about liking Foo Fighters is they'll go for 2.5 hours. So at 11 o'clock at night, I started pricing cards. I got done with one of their concerts at 1:30, and then I found another 1-hour special that they did. I'm like, great, I've got another hour, and this is all my background music, so I can price until 2:30 in the morning, so I can have a good singles night the next night and work. Geez, what I do yesterday is from 9:30 in the morning until about 2:30 at night, and
That's about 15, 16 hours. That's a good day.
that's what we call Saturday.
Yep. Yep. And I can tell you, as someone who's done very large acquisitions, guys like me do that, and we can do it for bursts. We can do it for, a couple months. When we did our big acquisition as a company a few years ago, it was like that for the better part of a year and a half, but that's it. And in the card industry, you have 2 choices to make. You can be Joe 9 to 5 and maybe do well, or you can be somebody who works their ass off. And A, when you sleep well because it's a job well done. But B, you put yourself in the position to have the best chance of being successful and the best chance of serving your customers. And that's just what you've signed up for. It's a sign of a good person and a businessman.
Thank you. And speaking of rest, we're full disclosure. Sean has really awesome backdrops. I think you guys all know that Sean's not at the stadium right now. Lord knows we won't see that many people in a ball game for a while. We were coming to you from the friendly confines of the Mike Stadium Sports Card. at home.
Yeah.
So I
And we're not
apologize for the
we're not rejuvenating cribs, folks. But there'll be no further panning of Mike's area. Mike's beard is enough personal information for everybody. They don't need more. So
Yeah, the last night I had I just had a salad. It was the latest person I know. Went to Maggiano's and I had a salad.
yeah, well, the high comedy I had for people is like, man, it sucks getting up and go to work every day. I was like, well, yeah, but it takes me 10 minutes because I have no hair work to do. And, I would tell you, Mike, that, your day could get longer if you did manicuring on your beard. But,
I,
that's your mojo, man. It's your signature. You got to keep that thing fired up. It's every trademark you have has that big monster in it.
so yeah, I actually put gel in today. There's a Nuggets game tonight, and that's another 38 seconds of my day that I'll never get back.
Exactly. That's like the best decision ever made was getting that shaver and doing this because it was the things I don't have to worry about during the day. Windy days are irrelevant. The rain's irrelevant. I just roll.
Yeah, I get protection over cold. You can get a knit cap.
Yes, that is true. I can get pretty cold, Although these days we're all wearing masks, so there's no such thing as cold. So,
Fair enough.
you talked about the kids' party. Tell me about, from the shop standpoint, I know that Pokemon's had this ungodly revival, and it was going to happen. Everyone knew it was going to happen because it was the next thing down the line. And it feels like the entire hobby, if you look at a portfolio of all the various sports and the products available, if you take all of them and you lay them on a schematic and you compare them to the prices from 5 years ago, the spread tells you what the next thing that's going to get gobbled up is. I mean, you think about back, soccer's now ridiculous. You said hockey's ridiculous. The Pokemon stuff's ridiculous. I mean, it's as the spreads on the big ones, football, basketball, baseball, go up, you're going to see people migrate to the things they can still access and approach, and they'll settle for it. So it feels like Pokemon's one of those things, and it's a great. I mean, you see when I see 40-year-old men in Target snarfing up boxes of Pokemon cards, that ain't because they're a big gamer that's going to go play them at home with their kids. It's everything we've talked about in the hobby.
I want to say you spot on. I want to say it was 3 or 4 years ago, watching the Super Bowl, and they had a commercial for Pokemon. They had a 30-second spot, so they spent $5 million on this spot because that's what it costs for 30 seconds these days. And I'm like, why did Pokemon invest $5 million in a Super Bowl ad? It was right before Pokemon Go started growing again.
Yeah, the Pokemon Go. Yep.
And I'm like, so, but I didn't know what the wheels were going to be doing. And I'm like, dude, that was $5 million. They're never going to see again. That was idiot. And because we would bring in 6 boxes of each new Pokemon release. And I remember going back with Pokemon Saturdays, we used to have, I remember at one point, I rung somebody through credit card. When the next person through, they're writing a check. When the next person through, they paid cash. And I'm still waiting for the first thing to go through. I'm ringing the next person through, and there's another credit card. So I'm froze. I can do no more. Check, credit card, cash, check, credit card. That's it. That's as far as we can go. And I literally stopped. And I don't know why I had the slowest credit card machine in the world that day. We had 17 people in line for Pokemon. And I'm like, this is nuts. My employees used to make 10% commission was their pay until Pokemon. And there's one day I went to go work a CU Buff game, and I paid my guy $500, and I'm out there getting spat on, getting harassed by fans, having to wear a dress-up outfit outside all day in September, Colorado. It was not a chilly day. And I'm thinking, I made $120 today, and my guy in the AC made $500. We're changing things. But we were starting to see the return to that last fall. I mean,
it was late summer, I think, was roughly the time.
You'd see the internet, the leaders, the influencers starting to break Pokemon. People were coming in, and 6 boxes I was getting was no longer a thing. So then I'd be ordering 12. My restocks would be stronger. And it was an easy do because you could just call 4 distributors. You could get all their lists. You could play the pricing game. Okay, so you've got this box at 72, they're at 71, these guys are 70, I'll take the 70s. And then that started to dry up, and you'd see the water at the feeding whatever in the Sahara, the pools were getting smaller, and then the prices were going up, and then more people were coming in for it. And then at that point, it was the first time in a long time I started to pay attention to what my Pokemon allocations were. Pokemon allocations. That's not a term that I really cared about for the last.
That's like Pogs quad ratios. You don't want to have those conversations, but it's real now.
It is completely real. So now we're like the word got out about us. We were like everybody's secret shop. We were their fight club.
Right.
And then it was like, dude, I know this place you can get a hookup. We can get you some Pokemon.
Yeah.
And that finally got to a really high point. And then I was like, okay, so what are my allocations? And I'm like, you care about your allocations? Like, yeah, I really do. So instead of having Pokemon on a case, in part of the Magic case when there is overstock and to someplace else. So now Pokemon literally is our front showcase in the shop. And it's
Right.
our most wide open case.
Yeah.
And I choose that case also because it extends all the way down so kids can look inside of it. And
Yeah.
tell you what, when there's a new release, when Shining Fates comes out, when the new Battle release came out 2 weeks ago, that's a blip day on the radar. And geez, I'm always appreciative that my distributors, maybe I shouldn't say this, but they trust me. A lot of times I'm able to get my packages a day early, unlike sports cards. And if you're going to not do something questionable, make sure you say, maybe I shouldn't say this first. Um, but I'm able to get that product oftentimes the day before. So at 10 a.m., I've got it. It's not there when the
Yeah.
UPS and FedEx trucks left. Believe me, if you want to have a bad day, if you want to see what a bad day looks like, hang out at my store when Bowman doesn't arrive till 2:47 in the
Yeah.
afternoon.
Yeah.
A bad day. My UPS driver, he has carte blanche on the fridge. He has carte blanche on the bathroom. He gets a very nice holiday bonus every year. We take care of these
Yeah,
folks well.
absolutely. That's right.
Um, so fortunately, we're able to get our Pokemon a day early. I do not crack the packs. If you come in my store, I don't care how much you offer me. I don't. I guess I would care if you had a weapon, but I don't. You're not getting it until that next morning, and that's not
Right.
midnight. That's 12:01. That's
Right.
when we open up. But yeah, man, it's Pokemon is all the rage
Yeah.
right now, and it's interesting talking to a lot of my sports card collectors because you're seeing two bleed overs. I once talked to Scott Hastings, as a former Denver Nugget, former Miami Heat, former Detroit Piston bad boy, and he's
Yeah.
got a radio show in the afternoon. And he and Dave Logan used to do the show, and it was a certain amount of sports and a certain amount of entertainment, and it was a good amount of overlap. The reason I'm showing you
Right.
this, not because I like that down the stage and I'm trying to do his diamond cutter. But he was always talking about. There was one day, and they literally didn't talk about sports at all. And I'm driving into Pepsi Center back then. I know it's called Ball Arena.
Not a
But
boy.
I was driving in. I was like, dude, you didn't even talk sports today. You're a sports talk show. He showed me the rough hand graph of sports and entertainment. You try to talk to the intermittent group. So now we're seeing that come over into the Pokemon and
Yeah.
sports card world, where you're seeing the sports card people. They come in and they're like, Mike, why'd you give the front case to Pokemon? Watch. And the Pokemon people like, dude, what's up with sports cards? And so you're seeing it's like brackish water, where
Yeah.
there's this overlap where the sports card complete people, they're seeing what the boxes of Pokemon and the singles of Pokemon are selling for, and the Pokemon people are like, okay, fine, I give in. What's up with sports? So back to a question you're not going to ask me. Hey, Mike, what's your biggest regret ever? Oh, Sean, I'm glad you asked. About
Well, it's not
5 years.
soccer. According to some people in the world, soccer is your biggest regret ever. So, because I've heard that from numerous times from certain people who won't be
Oh,
named.
yes, yes. Well, we're making up for that transgression now. Yes, I
Yeah.
don't even have a watch on right now. So about 5 years ago, I was in. Excuse me. I was in my current location, so I know it's within 6 years ago. Somebody brought in a box of Pokemon Base First Edition. So here's a product I have no feeling towards. However,
Right.
I'm going to look on DealerNet and see what the buys are. There's a store in Colorado Springs called Dale's, Dalez, and it's mostly a gaming store, but they do have sports cards as well. Geez, if I say them, I should also mention John's and Iron Lion are also in Colorado Springs. Nobody in the Springs will hate me now. So I saw that. And they're all good stores. So I saw that Dale's was paying $1,000 a box for this base first edition box, and nobody's
Yeah.
asking for it. No hope of selling it really at the shop. So it's like, look, if I can sell it for 1,000, I bought it for 500. Oh, happy me. Now, fast forward to 2021, and that same box is now the $350,000 box that the influencers are creating
Nonsensical.
it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
if I had packs of 52 Topps baseball, they wouldn't be a quarter. They wouldn't be a nickel.
Yeah.
It's that slot machine. What you can possibly get in there.
Yeah.
And if Charizard is selling for $100,000, it's a PSA 10, and it happens more than once. That's what's happening. If those boxes were when they were $200,000, I was doing this, and maybe I will enjoy your hairline soon. Thinking about the box of Pokemon I sold that could have paid for both of my kids' college education. That one box. So it's nuts. Yes. So yeah. Okay. If you told me then, if I knew then what I know now, if I knew that Team Rocket boxes were going to be over $10,000 a box, I
Right.
mean, nobody saw this coming.
Right.
Again, going back to the Super Bowl commercial, I just thought it was $5 million. Look at my commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you can say that, but right now Golden Auctions has a case of 2018-19 Prism for sale at auction.
Ooh, what is
That
it
you
good for?
should, I think it's at like 19,000 right now. I think it's going to be higher than that. I know you and I've talked long and hard. I got out of my two cases that I had gloriously not crackhead busted open for like 17 each, and I was happy. And I don't have any regrets because I don't remuck my cards. Once I'm out of a hand, I'm out. But yeah, I'm curious what this will go for, and it's early days. I mean, there's another week and a half, I think, to go in the auction. And this is one of those auctions where I have a lot of cards in play, so I'm paying attention to it more than normal. But yeah, that was 19,000 at this point. It's going to get up it's got to be the 20s or 30s at least, from what I can see.
1819 Hobby Prism.
Yes, case.
You're in excess of 70.
You think?
Uh, are we going to do a penny bet on this? Are we going to do a
Pinky bet. Pinky bet.
I'll go 70. Are you taking the higher or the
I'll
low?
use my gift card to Sloan's to pay for our next lunch versus you using your gift card to pay for the next lunch. How's that for a bet?
All right.
You
Wait,
take post 70, I'm in.
Sloan's? Wait, what pray tell is a Sloan's?
We will. That's an inside thing. We don't need to share out it publicly because most of our listeners aren't from Colorado.
Yes, but they visit. And they're
Yeah. So,
hungry too.
you talk about releases, and I know this for a lot of people that are in the hoop side of the card game. This is one of the, if not the biggest week of the year, because 2020 2021 Prism comes out. I think it's Wednesday is the release day. I think first off the line went off last week, and I think the Doc auctions sopped it up pretty heavy. You got your second year Jaws and Zions and all those happy goods, but this class is a little understated at thus far. I think prices of the boxes are pretty high relative to what I think the talent in the class has shown so far. But you've got Wiseman, you've got Anthony Edwards, you've got Halliburton. I mean, they're showing themselves pretty well. So, what are you expecting to see out of people showing up for the 2020 Prism run?
So the best thing I can do, the best analogy I can think of it is when Prism football came out, and we were at $1,000 a box for it. It's now trading, I believe, at $1,500 or $1,600 a box.
Yeah.
So good on I'm sorry about the price, but good on you guys for stepping up. And if you bought it first day, if you want to get out of them, not a problem. I can help you do that.
Yeah,
call me. You'll be north of it.
Yeah.
So again, I don't do pre-sales, but I definitely pay attention to Prism basketball. And I think it was 2 weeks ago, Nate Burns at Grand Slam, he put his up at 2,500. I talked to Nate afterwards. I can't offer specifics, but it sounds like Nate enjoyed not the worst day he's ever had. Not the best day he's had.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of interest in that product at that price.
Yeah.
I've heard of people who paid $3,000 for that same box on pre-sale, and then LaMelo got hurt. So fortunately, it's not like his knee. It's not an ACL. It's not a John Livingston thing. It's not a Alex Smith thing. But if he misses the rest of the season, I think he solidified himself in that he's going to be. He might still be rookie of the year. The fact that he isn't playing right now obviously hurts his cards. I think it created potential for awareness of the other players, as you brought up Wiseman, Halliburton, Edwards. There are other players in this draft not named LaMelo or not named Ball.
Yeah.
So I think it's brought attention to those other players. And if you haven't been watching Edwards all year. Geez, that guy spends more time above
Yeah.
the rim than anybody I know.
Yeah, and
And
ESPN's doing him a lot of good favors now because I think I jokingly said early in Michael Jordan's career, everyone thought that all he did was dunk it because that's all you saw him doing on ESPN every night at the highlights, and it formed an entire generation of players that wanted to do all the little triple pump underneath the basket, off the rim, all that craziness he did. That was uber talented. No one saw the 15-foot jumpers he was dropping that got him to 40 points. 2 dunks and 15 jumpers, and you got 40. I think Anthony Edwards has a lot of his game is that explosion right now, but it's he's getting a lot of play on ESPN, and it's starting to be. I want to see Timberwolves highlights to see what he did tonight, and that plays well into the value of someone independent of what their numbers show. He's kind of, as I joke, he's the reverse Nikola Jokic. Jokic will make one play per night that's remote with even remotely noticeable, and he's got a triple double and 40 points. Anthony Edwards will make 3 plays per night that are explosive and ridiculous and have 12 points and 4 rebounds. And that's the world we're in. And it's okay. That valuation is not always based on numbers.
well, one of the biggest differences that you compare him to other recent rookies, and the biggest difference I can see between him and John Morant is he makes his spectacular dunks. John
Yeah.
Morant makes his spectacular dunks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think you got some of that. I mean, again, I think all these young guys, it's hard for me. Normally my trend has been when a player's in their 3rd year, that's my make or break year for them. And so then if it's break, then I got to look at circumstances and see if there's a chance for things to change, et cetera. Ja's one of those guys. I think he's figuring out how to play. I mean, again, this is not his 3rd year yet. But I think a lot of these guys, that missing time, I mean, they missed half a season of development and basically an entire year of career refining. So, time working on their game, working on their 3-point shot, working on their handle, whatever it is. I think that's real. And so that there's, I'm looking at whether I should be holding longer for a few of those classes, because I think it's going to take them a little more longer to show up. And then you get into, do you believe the team's development plans and all that stuff? And, I'm not smart enough to know those things. I don't have the insight I used to know how the development teams are. But I think that all classes are going to have good players. I think 2017 football, when it first came out, was kind of a throwaway. And guess what? That's changed, current court cases in Texas notwithstanding. So, you kind of got to stick with it. And, I think the prices are going to be a big, I honestly think the prices right now are a big detractor. LaMelo's injury hurts those guys, I think. And so I think, I don't know what the out's going to be on Prism. I may have been one of the people who helped Nate with his successful day in his year, because the value of what I saw was there for that relative to what I saw elsewhere. But I don't feel as bullish about that class long term as I have the last 2. And my belief in the class is my belief in the wax. They play hand in hand in my world. So that's one perspective. But I do think it's an incredibly popular product, and there's no way it's not going to be madhouse. I'm just curious if you're prepared for an onslaught on Wednesday morning, or what do you think is going to happen?
Yes, and I'll be prepared. I don't think, unlike Prism Day for football, I don't think we're going to have an officer on site, although we might. We actually had we paid an officer to sit there all day and watch us sell cards. He had a blast trying to understand. It was so much fun having somebody who knew nothing about where the hobby is today in the store going, wait a second, that guy just handed you $1,000 and you gave him a box of cards. Please explain this. I am lost. So there's that. I'm expecting a solid day. We're not getting a ton of phone calls about it, or the level of phone calls I would have expected. We have a fair amount coming in because I'm direct with Panini. They allowed me to buy 3 cases direct. Thank you, Panini. Should be wearing a Panini shirt, I guess. And then whatever I'm getting through my distributors. I don't know where my price is going to be until I know what my restock is. And I hope I can offer. I'm going to be as competitive as possible. I will be some amount of what I sell. I will be breaking even on, or losing 3% on credit card, 2.5%, because I need to use this as a means to get additional product. When Prism Football came out, there were 4 cases I bought from one unnamed distributor that I paid $12,000 a piece for, and I was selling them for $1,000 a box. And the payoff for that was certainly not that day. It was an allocation to Panini One. panini encased, and other products where I enjoyed a
Yep.
bump because that they saw my spend at 48 that day,
Yep.
not just my direct. So I'm expecting a solid day. I would love to see boxes be at 1,500, not because other people paid 2,500, but that's a number I'd like to believe that they'll be
Yeah,
at.
I agree.
I'll find out if if I can get a distributor who will re-up me on pricing. That's a big concern right now.
Yeah.
When Panini Case Football came out the other day, dealing net buys were 645 or 650. The big guys were at $800 a box, and I wanted to employ that same strategy where I was selling at my restock price, just so I can inflate my direct allocation on future releases. It's such crazy. If 2017 Mike would be talking to 2021 Mike, we don't own the same card shop anymore. We don't run at the
Yeah.
same store anyway. And
Yeah.
and obviously the numbers are different, but how I go about doing my business is different. I know we're coming up in the hour mark. I wanted to talk a little bit about supplies. And
Yep.
I remember 3 or 4 years ago, when I finally when I was able to buy a pallet of cards and legitimize a pallet. I was like, okay, let's put this together. Let's shop this out, and I'm going to put this out to 4 different distributors and say, look, here's what I want on my pallet. So many cases of plain, so many cases of rookie, 130s, so many cases of team bags and whatever it was.
Right.
Who's going to give me the best price? And it came down to shipping. It came back to who I've got a percentage back system with. I mean, all these things literally came in together. And I said, okay, you win, or whatever it was. And now, if any distributor could put together a pallet of supplies, the price at this point is unimportant. It's finding anybody who could put together. At this point, if you have a case of top loaders, the listening audience, if you have a case, if you have any used top loaders that are laying around, please consider sending them to Mike Stadium Sports Cards. I will cover your postage. I'm out of plain thin top loaders, and I feel like a gas station that's run out of gas, and the refineries are down, and people are like, when are you gonna get more gas? Like, I really don't know. I've got card savers. We sold more 55 or 60 point top loaders yesterday than not ever, but then I can remember on a typical Saturday, because we were out of the thins, and that's simply the next product in line is the 55s and 60s.
Right.
Those are going to go, and then the 70s and 80s are going to go, and the next thing they're going to go are the hundreds. If you are watching this, go to your LCS and buy a case of top loaders. You won't be doing them a favor. You're going to be doing yourself a favor. They are gone. Larry Bird is not walking through that door anytime soon. I've got all the distributors I work with, buddies who takes care of me with supplies. They're not calling me up and saying, please take mine anymore. There are no more. That oil well is dry.
Yeah, we'll have to talk, Mike, because I may have a couple full drawers of top loaders because of all the breaks I've done over time. You know, we've done through this before, right? When I gave you all those one touches and top loaders, maybe time for a re-up.
I wish I could move you down at game, Sean. I wish I could upgrade you.
Unnecessary. We'll work it out some other way. I can tell you, you know, it's my belief, you know, and I was inquiring this with other people, you know, card savers. Are you seeing those becoming available again finally?
All right. So we had a massive when I can't tell you what month it was, last
Yeah,
November.
it was right around before Thanksgiving.
Massive run on card savers, because every single
Yeah.
1930 Fleer Jordan card is going to get graded, and you needed the card saver ones to do that. We are going to see that pretty soon again. We're seeing an uptick in pricing on that, because as top
Okay.
loaders become unavailable, I think people are, as they're going to 55 and 60 point top loaders, once those come out of play, you can't really put a thin card in an 80 point top loader.
Right.
Then there's going to be a run on painter's tape that we've never seen
Yeah, I will
before.
say the next thing then is going to be tape, Mike. It's never going to end.
So we actually put card savers in the spot we normally have our plain thin top loaders in.
Sure.
Because I wanted, well, why, wait, those aren't top loaders. Those aren't pillows. So we put them in the same spot yesterday, and I'm trying to get people to start using card savers, because that's what you're going to need soon, unless
Yeah.
some shipments come in from overseas. Thanks to Wes Canal. Wow, we just brought up current events. Don't do that often. but I don't know when top loaders are coming back in again.
Right.
If somebody said right now I could buy 100 cases of top loaders, I would find the room. They would be underneath my bed. They would be stacked on the wall here. They would be. I would be putting my TVs on them, whatever I could do. If you told me I could get 100 cases of top loaders, I would carry everyone in my store myself. I wouldn't ask for any help. Price is almost unimportant to me.
Right.
We sold for the last 2 weeks or so. I mean, I kind of saw this coming, and we were selling packs of top loaders, plain thin ones, for our $5 price. We're at 25 per pack. We had a limit of one per, and literally, if people were bringing them up to the register, I now know what it's like to be a Walmart clerk when somebody brings up 10 boxes of optic and the limit is three. Like, guys, I can sell you one. Oh, come on,
Yeah.
I'm selling you
Yeah.
one. And if I didn't sell you one, I wouldn't have any for you today because somebody else would have bought 10 of them. So I mean, I stretched it out as long as I could, and now we're just out. Hopefully, people will
Yeah.
enjoy card savers.
Yeah, I'm really curious because I have this long-term thing where how card grading is going the entire hobby has changed because of how card grading is perceived, and it's I firmly believe it's now table stakes unless it's for a personal collection card. Anyone wants to refer back to my last episode where I didn't have to bore Mike with talking about it, I just got to do it on my own. And the curiosity I had was the flood of cards getting graded corresponded directly to that whole dearth of card savers, because that happened last year. That was like middle late of the year, the pandemic effect. People are buying them, they're putting their cards in them, they're sending them in to get graded, etc. It's interesting that now top loaders are coming in. I know that part of that's because graded cards now, to get card grading, you don't necessarily have to use a card saver in some circumstances. Check the rules. Don't trust Sean to tell you what the rules are. But I think top loaders have much more use, and the breakers all use top loaders for all their stuff. And
Yep.
so when you're into that mode, that volume is just getting crushed. And I'm just curious, at some point, there's going to have to be a massive market for used card savers, because I guarantee you a PSA and Beckett have millions of them that they need to get back out into the marketplace.
I don't know. Somebody told me once that they thought that when the card lands, instead of pulling it out, they just cut off like an edge and then pull the card out sideways. So that may be true. I don't know.
Interesting.
Even if it's
Interesting.
now, I'm just starting some internet rumors because of what somebody
Right.
told me. But the struggle is real. The top
Yeah.
loader struggle is
Yeah.
real.
I just visualize this warehouse in the back, like in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the Ark of the Covenant went, this warehouse in back of PSA or Beckett at their grading facilities, where all these card savers are sitting in these boxes. It's all I can imagine is this massive backlog.
I'm envisioning dumpster diving. I'm envisioning people
Yeah.
going out there every day with
Yeah.
shovels to scoop out whatever card savers they can out of the
Right.
dumpster. You did bring up grading, and
Yeah.
the reason we actually just did an event. We're working
Yep.
with my son
Great.
Sam is working with a gentleman, Mike, from Mark's Cards. They submit thousands of cards to PSA, and they actually
Yeah.
do it as a drive-up service. And I know this won't apply to most of you, but we actually did our first in-store pickup. So Mike flew out, did a pickup that day. Pricing was great. It was in line with everything you could get yourself. He was hand flying them back above the plane, not below the plane. And we're actually doing another pickup this week at the shop on Saturday. So this is a Sam Fruitman project. My son Sam is getting into sports cards his way. So he's doing a pickup with Mike at the shop this Saturday from 10 until 3. If you go to the Mike's Facebook page, you can read all about it, what's involved with it. And he's actually bringing back the first express grades. So in the future, we're going to be sending Sam out there. We won't give you his flight information, but we'll be sending Sam out there with your cards, and he'll be flying them back. He's already shopping for a Pelican case. My son is he's he's if this is Robin Leach, he's living the comfortable lifestyle. I guess he wants only the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. He needs a
Um,
handcuff to put on his case with his arm so he can handcuff himself in and all that crazy stuff too. Because that's when you're really a player, that's what you do, right?
yeah, exactly. I'm thinking of the scene in Ocean's 11 with the briefcase
Yes,
and the two.
exactly.
Like, do
Exactly.
I want to park the car and walk him in? Do I want to go to short-term parking, make sure he gets.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So
but
I think we're seeing a market there. And I have, you know, I'm very happy to hear that's happening. I think, I would tell people, and this is Sean talking, not Sean, the co-host, but Sean talking. I would never want to give my execution of what I want to someone else when I think it is incredibly easy to do it yourself. However, I get it. It's not instantaneous. You have to do your homework. You have to know what you're doing. Folks, I think it's easy to figure out what you're doing, but if not, then don't muck it up. Go find someone who can do it for you that you trust. Trust is the biggest word, because if you're handing them 15 Luka Doncic rookie prisms and you don't know if there's 70 more in that lot, how do you know the 15 you gave them are the 15 that they graded? So
right.
you have this dilemma. So you better freaking trust the person that you're bringing in, because that's the only way you're going to get comfortable.
I'm with you completely. Mark's cards, we found them through my buddy Mitch from the
Yep.
bullpen. As I understand it, Mitch and Ty have transferred all of their
They
grading
finally moved it
drop-off.
over to him.
Yes.
Okay.
The contact I've seen from him to my collectors has been exceptional.
Yep.
I think he was in the shop on Saturday doing a pickup. By Tuesday, everybody had a photo returned of their order of all their cards. And we're already starting to see those cards getting graded and processed and sent
Yep.
back. The
Yeah.
nice thing is when he drops them off, they're closer to being in the system than your letter. You sent,
That's right.
and I'm not hearing horror stories left and right about letters getting lost, but the
Yeah.
idea, like, I can't think of my comfort level if I'm sending something to PSA in California and it says
Yeah.
PSA on the envelope, and I have no idea how many postal employees are working that,
Right.
thinking, oh man, I know exactly what's inside of there.
Rule number one, do not use the postal service to send us something like that. Use UPS or use FedEx and get them to overpack it, protect the hell out of it, insure the hell out of it, because it's not the 100 times that it's no problem. It's the one time it is a problem that matters. As someone who sends, I sent 780, 800 cards to PSA like 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And within so much time, I got a notice that said, hey, they were delivered. And that was UPS telling me they were delivered. Then a few days later, I got a notice from PSA that, hey, they've arrived. Now they're protected. They're with us. It's all good. That's what you care about. Beckett, not the same story. Beckett, all I have so far is they were delivered. Sometime in the next month or two, Beckett's going to let me know that cards got there. And it's not the same process. And, I think PSA is doing a better job of getting people in the loop early. I think part of that's their maturity and where they are in the industry. And, and part of it's I think they're having a lot of practice right now, quite frankly. And, I think all of them are getting there. I think, I love that they have people like you're talking about who have, I call it priority access. I hate it for the average Joe that's doing it themselves, because for every priority access, that's one guy who's not getting his done. But that's a business. It's okay to have that business and get that access, and there's value to it. So I think people need to make good decisions and do their homework. And again, I think it comes back to trust as the first thing you have to have. So,
Makes
I
sense.
think Sam, I would trust.
Thank you. I'm literally telling people, like, I don't want to drop off here. Don't leave with me.
Yeah.
Sam's 18 years old, and he's obviously grown up at the card shop his entire
Yeah.
life. I raised him for the first 2 years in the store, and it's great to see. I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying where the shop is right now, but being able to
Yeah.
see my son get in and
That's got to be
provide
a big
service to
deal.
my collectors, it's nice to see him, and it's cool to see.
Are you playing cats in the cradle every day yet?
Oh, God. Well, now that he's more involved in the store, he's helping out with our breaks, our singles nights,
Yeah.
and our you call it evenings. So he's there most of the time anyway. He was there the whole shift yesterday.
Right.
Saturday the job. It is if you're one man doing it, you're an octopus.
Yeah. You have no shot. Yeah.
I joked that my Saturdays, I call it spinning plates, where like, you doing okay, you doing all right, and you're good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hey, you doing all right, when I get you, you're good.
Yeah.
I hate the mentality of I've got to get you out of there, but I look around, I want people to feel comfortable in my store. I don't want somebody to walk up my door and go 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going in
Yeah.
that place.
Folks,
So I
just
won't.
as background, the the single most stressful part of my day and week, one of the most stressful, is when I realize I have to call Mike and see when we're going to have our next podcast and stuff. Because I know it's going to involve the phone ringing, Mike answering, hello, Mike's. And then he's going to say, can you hold on a minute? Or hi, Sean, can you hold on a minute? And then sometime in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to hear a conversation with 7 other people on the phone because of his phone calls. Then he'll get back to me. He never forgets you. And then we'll talk again. And then we'll hang up. And then I know that everything that we just talked about just disappeared from his head because he's mired in the spinning plates. And that's just the life. And it's a reality of, if you're in the business, it's great. But at the same time, it's kind of like the closing scene from the Trading Pit and Trading Places, where everyone's just, there's tickets everywhere and there's just mass chaos and this big exhale that's going on all around the area. But the whole day is just chaos. And if you haven't been to a local card shop lately, a lot of them are like that. And if you have cards, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But if you're in cards, it can be stressful and painful, and it's how the market is. So, give your folks a break. I mean, they're trying to do what they can do. So it takes some patience, and they'll get to you. And the good ones like Mike, they know you're there. Just be patient. And, it's a tough go.
They need lunch. Figure out what your card shop owners like to eat, drink.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Although the irony of being in the name club, if I know your name at the shop, this is actually terrible. If you go to a bar and you're a good tipper early on, and they see you walk up, they're like, oh yeah, hey, you're a rum and coke, you're a whatever guy, and you get that service over everybody else in line. So unfortunately, when you come to the shop these days, if I know your name, it usually means you know how the shop is and you're pretty chill about things.
Yeah.
If I don't know your name, I expect you not to know and to not have necessarily the patience level. So it actually works in reverse. If you walk in, Sean, I'm like, hey, Sean, give me a second. This guy, this guy.
We know this. This is the deal. We know by eye contact. It's like, yep, here we go. All right, you get it. I can tell within 5 seconds of walking in. It's one of those times. And then usually if you know how Mike and I work, I'll walk in, I'll look around, I'll find where there's a seat or something to the side, and I'll go grab a Diet Pepsi out of the fridge, and I'll go either go to the bathroom because I'm 50 and it's too long of a drive to his shop, or just chill because there's lulls in the day. But if it's chaos, it's chaos. And that's just how it works. So
fortunately, you also get self-serve privileges. So
I have some of those. And if you guys don't know, I mean, Mike's got a in front of the counter and behind the counter situation. In the old days, before the madness, Mike would have random sealed cases of product all over the shop. And I would go looking at it and see if there was something there. And I'd say, hey, can I open this one? Or, in the early fantasy sports days, that was a big thing. Nowadays, there is no such thing. There's empty cardboard boxes that have taken over a big part of the shop because of the volume, but there's nothing that's not opened for the very reasons he's talked about. People crave the product. And so if it's sitting, it's an unmet need somewhere. And if you can sell everything you can open, by God, you're opening everything. So
a lot of it,
it's a different deal.
We have a permanent, I know this is way off topic, we have a permanent Craigslist ad where we are offering free boxes, and I got to take it down and reset it every once in a while. So it stays turns at the top, but we haven't thrown away a cardboard box in years. And if without these people coming in to take these boxes, and I can't throw them away. They're going to help people out. I should have to go to Home Depot and spend $8 on a box.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But we've never had to throw away a box. And it's nice having this ad. Otherwise, the corner expands. It's like the Ice Age. Where
it does.
Starts in the corner and just like it's next thing you know, it's a whole shop.
Well, there was the movie Toys, right, where Richard Pryor and they had their little meeting room, and it kept getting smaller. And it feels like your shop's going to turn into that with the cardboard boxes if you're not careful.
I'm not a breaker. I'm not some of the big. We had Rich Layton on here. I would imagine his dumpster problem and mine are slightly different.
Well, you have a one-way issue, right? You have cardboard comes in and nothing comes out. Now, I'll tell you, you should look at people who buy a lot of stuff, and you should offer them a cardboard box to put it in on the way out the door. And so then you've transferred, right? So my wife and I shop on Amazon a lot, and I think my house is now primarily a cardboard reprocessing plant and not a house anymore. But what you're trying to do is the right thing, and you're a pretty environmentally conscious guy, and I think it's great. And at some point, it's all to take over.
Even though I sell a product that comes in a case, that comes inside a wrapper, that comes inside a box. that
Yeah.
comes inside the pack.
Yeah.
So yeah, all my years of living in Boulder are
You're
definitely
doing what you can.
yeah, I do what I can. Speaking of doing what I can, I think I've done what I could do this
It
morning.
is. It is. And so I think we just came up on the hour mark, Mike. Looking forward to seeing you somewhere in the arena, albeit not as usual walking by. And hope everybody enjoyed the episode. We promise we will get back with other people besides us in the future. I think we have a few people that are in the mix that you'll enjoy. Mike, it was good to catch up as always. And for everyone on the outside looking in, thank you for joining us in the card shop.